Hello, my fellow awakening ones. So, I just want to speak on the nature of all the fake things, fake artificial stuff coming out about this reality. And one of them that bothers me is that there are non-playable characters. Anywhere from 40 to 60% of the whole global population, maybe more, maybe 70%. I don't really know exactly. I just know that not everyone is real. That you see in a crowd, that you interact with at work, at school, church, grocery store, whatever. And that just needs to stop being a thing. Like, I just don't want any, people, the real people, already many of us act fake in many ways. That's bad enough, right? I've done it. I hold my hand up there. I admit it. And I've observed hundreds of people doing that in person, not to mention just, political figures, famous people being mostly or completely fake on screens. But this is a real issue, Like, I want everything to be real here. I want it to be authentic. I want it to be based in prime reality. And, what comes to mind also is just, it goes into our economic system. Even if there weren't fake people, like that, a lot of that is fake, right? When I touch a Federal Reserve note dollar, and it's not a U.S. dollar, it's Federal Reserve note, and it says the word dollar, but it isn't really U.S. dollar. That's fake, and also because it's based in debt. It's mostly based in debt, and it always has to inflate. That's a whole other topic, but it's just in fake food and fake. I saw there's a garden in the condo complex I live in, and I hadn't seen it for a while, but I was observing it, I think like 2 days ago, maybe. And it looked kind of nice. Some of it was off, but there was a plastic shrub. Someone had planted a plastic shrub amidst all the real plants. And I was just like, I guess it was kind of amused and just neutral when I saw it. Luckily now when I see anything or experience anything that is out of my preference, including just all the fake everything that we're surrounded by in this realm, it doesn't bother me so much. But it was just like, it's just a perfect example of what I'm talking about, of just like, I don't know about you. I mean, I guess a lot of people are conditioned to accept fakeness in people and objects. People will say like, oh, it looks so real. Like they'll look at a plant or a flower and say, oh, it's so real, it looks like the one you could buy at the costume store, or the theater shop or whatever. And they'll talk about a real thing as being like, wow, it looks like a fake version of that, like wow, oh, I thought it looked so perfect. I thought it was a plastic. Wow, I'm surprised it's real. I've said stuff like that. Again, I don't presume to be better than anybody else with this stuff. I have my own conditioning and ego distortions and Luckily, they're fading, but I've had thoughts. I'm a very intelligent, aware, and awake in many ways person, but I'm just a person, just a human too, and I have my flaws. Um, but yeah, I just like I literally met a non-playable character being once, and I'll tell you how I know, and this is how you will know too when you encounter them one on one. Um, I was at the grocery store next to my house a few years ago, and I'll never forget this. I was checking out, and it was a new woman. It was a new employee. She hadn't been there for that long, which also indicates to me that she was not real, but I'll get to that later in a second. So I'm going to check out, and she says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm fine, thanks." And she scans the thing, and I forget what it was, and then I pay for it. And as I'm leaving, she says again, "Hey, how you doing?" Exactly the way she had said it 45 seconds earlier or whatever. And it just stuck with me. And then she wasn't working there again. I only saw her maybe one or two other times. It appeared like she was only there for a couple weeks. And granted, this store has somewhat of a high turnover ratio. It's a grocery market, local chain, I think, for Sonoma County. I live in Sonoma County, West Sonoma County. And but I've never seen anyone go there. And I've lived here for 6 years, about 6 years now. I've never seen anyone work for that short amount of time. And she wasn't a teenager either. She must have been at least in her late 30s, I want to say, to mid to early 40s. And it was just like, that just stuck with me, and I just knew intuitively, because I had become aware of this stuff about not just that we live in a simulation, and not in the Maya, like Buddhism, Gnostic meaning of it, like a computer simulation, like a live action computer game where there's like inserts and fake people and fake history, and once you get into this stuff, literally, and fake monuments, and even in nature, you hear a lot of stories where like people will talk about how it just got really, really quiet. All of a sudden they're in a national park somewhere in America or elsewhere, and everything just gets really, really quiet, and they feel a really eerie, negative feeling in their body for a period of time, and then everything goes back, and they hear the nature sounds, and everything feels fine again. There's just so much fake. I don't know. I guess like maybe some people don't care, but I want everything to be real. I'm a real boy, okay? I'm not an AI, and if you think that, whatever, you're brainwashed, and that's on you. And I don't really care at this point. I know I'm real, and that's all that matters. And I just I don't want fake anything. I don't want non-playable characters saying, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?" Like a fucking robot. And I don't want people pretending to be something they're not for validation or approval, or to get some kind of business transaction to complete the way they want, or any of this, or get a romantic partner, any of this crap. Everybody just be yourself. And to the Matrix controllers, whoever is running this computer game thing that we are living in, alongside real prime reality, and thank God that it still exists here. It's not completely wiped out and overtaken and subsumed by the fake overlays of the phantom black hole matrix. It's another term for this this simulation, fake overlay thing. But yeah, and then there's another element I want to get into here in my rant. Of there are many interlopers from elsewhere in the cosmos just like hanging out here, and some of them are nefarious, but other ones aren't. But just, you know, like in Men in Black, like to me that's a form of disclosure a little bit. You know, in other movies like Starman, and I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. There's probably other movies where there's like an alien from elsewhere pretending to be human, and then the main character finds out, and they go on some adventure or whatever. I don't want anybody like that being here without asking, like, hey, can we come here? And then without revealing themselves. Like, I don't want anybody here without humanity's permission, basically. It sounds like once you get into that, I could go a whole hour just on the alien interaction that's really been going on, and we come from them. But just more recently, between most people being brainwashed to not believe in A, in aliens, and B, that they've been here the whole time. They never have not been here. That's who came here. That's who seeded all life, everything, good, bad, or otherwise, here, came from elsewhere, was seeded by something else, except for the Mushroom Kingdom. They seeded themselves, and theory of evolution is just a lie. It doesn't really make sense. Again, that's a whole other topic. There is evolution. There's small evolution physically, but not to that extreme. Not that extent. But I don't want non-playable characters existing at all in our reality, in this beautiful realm. And I don't want aliens from other realms hanging out here posing as humans. Like, you can go on other channels, like Ashley Inc. Go on her channel, or I don't know. I can't think of. There must be other channels, but she's on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And all she does is stories of supernatural, like timeline slips and people going and waking up in the wrong reality, or dating werewolves or vampire people who they thought were people turn out to be werewolves or vampires or some other crazy being like that. And she has like a couple of videos all about reporting people's story, sharing people's stories about encountering aliens pretending to be human, like reptilians, and seeing them shapeshift, or other aliens, at the checkout line at Home Depot. Very beautiful looking aliens that are dressed like they're in the 60s, and they don't know how to act like humans. They don't, tried to make small talk with them, and they couldn't do it. Didn't know how to human. Right. They didn't know how to human right, because they ain't from here. They're from somewhere else. Watch out for them. Watch out for the interdimensional imposter beings, huh? But, yeah, that's just, I know I kind of went all over the place there. That's what I do sometimes. Hopefully you got something out of this. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And have a great day. Or make a great day, rather.